Before we start, this video is sponsored by Moon Milk, which is a healthy spice mix that I created with my family. It helps you relax, focus, and sleep better. Check the links in the description. So in this video, we'll continue the work that we started in the previous video. The good news is that I don't think there will be a need for the third episode in this series because the second and third stages of our analysis are relatively straightforward. They are very similar to what we would do without ChatGPT or using even Microsoft Word or any other software. So have a look at my video where I explain the whole process of what is normally involved in data analysis, in qualitative data analysis or thematic analysis specifically, because that's exactly what we are doing. So having done what we have done in the first video in this series, so we created the initial codes with the support from ChatGPT. Now what we have left to do is simply organize these codes. So that's step 2, as I always say in my videos, stage 2 or step 2 in the whole process is to organize these codes in some kind of groups. They don't have to be themes just yet, just some kind of groups that are meaningful and they help us make sense of these of this large number of codes. And after that, we're looking at the groups and already starting to think about our research questions and starting to think of how these codes that we have can actually help us answer these questions. Then we organize them into what we'll later call themes. The reason why this stage 2 and 3, these stages will be relatively similar and straightforward and always overlapping and merged in the data set that I'm analyzing at the moment is because it's a simple and it's a short and small data set. So I already kind of see straight away that the way I will organize these codes into groups will pretty much resemble and reflect the final codes that I also, the final themes that I also will create for this dataset. But now let's have a look at what we have here. So just as I prepared it last week or in the first episode, I have my codes, my initial codes that, if you remember, were created by ChatGPT. I have our prompts. I added some prompts to this list, and I'll explain it later because, again, I did a lot of experimenting and trial and error to try to get here. And finally, just a new file where we will copy and paste our focused codes, so the codes that have been organized into groups. Importantly, as I said, this second stage, it could be done using anything, just Microsoft Word or some other software. There is really not that much use anymore in ChatGPT, except apart from maybe the fact that it will speed things up slightly and it will just make the process a little bit faster. But at that stage 1, I would say this is where it was the most helpful and useful. Here you could do without ChatGPT, but since we started this series, let's see how it can help us. So the first thing you'll be doing at this stage is looking at these codes and just kind of making sure that they make sense in general, that maybe if you can add something to these codes, you can add something. So remember they are color coded, because what we'll do now, we'll eventually copy and paste the codes into ChatGPT to reorganize them. But because they are color coded, we will be able to eventually find which interviews they come from. Another important thing is not to lose track of the quotes. I said it before as well. If we don't have the quotes, if we can't find the quotes, there is little use in having these codes eventually developing themes. I mean, there will still be use in doing that, but then what we'll have to do eventually is try to find in the text some quotes that may help us demonstrate these themes. So why do that? Why waste time if we can just make sure that we don't lose track of them now? So as you remember, there are different formats in which ChatGPT works. So with one prompt, sometimes it does one thing, sometimes it does the other. So here, for example, we have quotes that are separated from the codes, which actually will work well for us today because we can just select all the codes and straight away copy and paste to ChatGPT. But others were organized this way. So there are quotes and there are codes right here. So in this case, we'll have to just spend a little bit more time just separately copying each code without the quotes and pasting to ChatGPT. But regardless of the format, the important thing is that we need to keep track of this. So later when we reorganize the codes for the first time, we need to be able, through ideally the find option here in Microsoft Word, to find the quotes for a given code. So if I want to find a quote for a code that's called Exhilarating Adventures Experiences, I'll just copy and paste it into this find section if I need to have a quote. So throughout the whole process, we need to be able to trace back to these quotes. And one more thing that we want to do at this stage before copying and pasting, two more things actually, before copying and pasting to ChatGPT. One thing is to make sure that if we can create another code, if there are more codes there than ChatGPT initially found, then we make sure to create these codes. So what I mean here is, for example, we can see some quotes here, for example, for fascination with pushing boundaries, which is fine, but then we have several quotes, and for example this one talks about sterile environments, so it's also, in addition to pushing boundaries, it also talks about a possible limitation or a challenge. Remember, we are focused on challenges, so straight away in our hypothetical study, I mean, we're exploring factors positively and negatively impacting job satisfaction. So I see a code here, so I'll just name it a code so I know it's a code. Don't need the numbers. The numbers were created by ChatGPT in our first attempt. But here I'll say, for example, sterile environments or movie environments are not good. So that's what this part here says. So that's what you want to be doing. I won't be doing all of that now live because it's going to take too much time. But you want to scroll through it and just see if maybe it missed something. So it gives you the nice quotes, and just make sure that if there is something to add like that, then just add it. As I always say, too many codes are never a problem. Not enough codes can be a problem. So especially if you're working with ChatGPT, you want to lay everything out to it as clearly as possible so it can see whether something is a bad thing or a good thing. So now the other thing that we'll be doing now, and this is fully manual, there is no way around it, is go through this and think of ways to organize this. Think of all these codes that you have and start thinking of different ways in which you could possibly organize this. If you follow my other videos, you know that I explain this can be anything. Usually it can even be as general groups as good stuff, bad stuff, good things, bad things, or if you have lots of codes about emotions, you can just that could be your grouping: emotions, codes about emotions, codes about background information, codes about good things, codes about bad things. So the point here is still not to develop themes. The point is to just make sense of these codes, because they are all they are not organized well. They're all just listed randomly, and there are many different things. So because what we're doing essentially is trying to develop good understanding of our data, good enough for us to say, these are my themes running through the data that will help me answer the research questions. We just need to do everything we can to make this clearer, to make it obvious and clear to us what are these general topics that we have in our data. And this is easier if we organize codes into groups. So one thing you may attempt to do at this point, at this stage, is also to copy and paste all codes into ChatGPT right now and ask it to think or to develop groups for you. So give it a prompt saying, these are the codes, units of analysis, explain what the codes are. You have to do it every time. You have to clearly explain everything. And then say, organize it, or please organize it. So we'll stick to being nice to AI. Please organize these codes into groups based thematically. You can attempt to do this. The reason I'm not doing this is because I've tried several times. It was always far from perfect. I don't want to waste your time watching these different attempts of ChatGPT, but why not? You can try it, or you can try it and then paste it back and then add some of your own work. So it's, as I said, it's a good tool for supporting your work. Chances are it will not develop these perfectly making sense groups for you, but maybe there will be some kind of start, something to think about at least. I tried, and like I said, it kind of messed things up a little bit, but if I was completely out of ideas, perhaps I would at least give it a chance. For now, I do have an idea of groups that I can develop from this, and these are as I said, positive factors, because so basically these are reflecting my research questions. The groups are factors that may positively influence job satisfaction, or all the positive things in general, negative things, and then other for all the stuff that is more difficult to classify. So I did prepare a prompt for that. Let me copy and paste it into ChatGPT now, and yeah, this is the one, and I'll read it out in a second. So here is what the prompt says. I will now, let me just delete this. I will now paste codes which are analytic units used in thematic analysis here. I would like you to assign each of these codes to one of the following groups. Challenges, if the code name suggests that it's something negative or something that may negatively influence a person's job satisfaction. Positive factors, coping strategies, and positive experiences, if the code name suggests that it is something in any way positive and may positively influence a person's job satisfaction. And other, for codes that do not match any of the initial two groups. Here are all the codes. It's very important that you assign each and every one of these codes to the above mentioned groups. This is because, again, if I don't say it, for some reason it will just stop at a couple of first codes. So that's my prompt, and now I'll be copying and pasting all my codes from these files. So it's going to be easier from this Al Pacino file, because I'll just select everything. So these are the main codes plus little summaries that it created, but the summaries are essentially very descriptive codes as well, so I like to use these as well. And then I do have to manually go and select the other ones. As I said, it may take a little bit longer because of the format, so I have to go here and then select and paste, and then go to another one and select it and paste. So now, having seen this and having learned myself, I know that perhaps next time I would ask ChatGPT at this initial stage. I would emphasize a couple of times that I want my codes and my quotes separately, as separate points, because now I know this would have saved me some time. Otherwise, I have to do it manually. So let me just copy and paste all the codes now, and then we'll see what it does for you, how it organizes these codes into groups. Before we continue, I just wanted to remind you that there is a lot of services that I offer through my website, so feel free to explore that website. If you need a more detailed, more tailored approach, there are a variety of one-to-one tutorials that I offer, during which we can look at your coding or your data, try to develop codes for it, or I can evaluate your initial attempts to coding, or address any other aspect that has to do with qualitative research planning and implementation. So again, feel free to explore this website and see if there is anything relevant to your needs. Okay, so now I managed to copy and paste all these codes. Remember, the prompt is at the top, and let's see what it does. So it begins to organize all of these into challenges, positive experiences, positive factors, and others. I can already see there are some inaccuracies, as we could expect, but at the same time you'll appreciate the speed of how fast it's doing these things. So let's just copy and paste all of that. If I feel that it may not be the complete list, I may ask it to make sure to include all the codes. I'm not entirely sure if it's a full list, but let's copy and paste this into our focus codes and themes text file. So this is a new file, just to separate it from our codes and from our prompts from the other files that we've been using. And now the next thing that we need to do, of course, is to organize this. And make sure that there are no errors. I can already see that there are things that are kind of weird. So like cycles of life, which is basically, let's have a look. I'll show you what it's about. So let's copy cycles of life, because I'm wondering what that is about. So this is how we'll be now sorting the codes. Copy cycles of life, go to our quotes, go to the find option, and just paste cycles of life. So where would that be? Let me just see. Cycles of life. So that's what we do. now we can read the quotes. So it's basically, oh, this is not the quote, this is the little summary. So viewing life as a series of stages, acceptance of nature of life, embracing the idea of life. So it's a reflection on life. And then let's move to the next one. This is where we have the quotes. So I think we're here and then we're not. See, it's kind of a, I would put it in the others group. So it's you could probably try hard and find something in it, something more, but I would put it in the other category, because it's not really about things you enjoy at work or things you don't enjoy. So that's what you do. You use the search option. That's why I said it's so important to keep the quotes there and move things around. So first you need to make sure that these categories, these groups make sense. Like desire for something new, again, without checking the actual codes, I know that this is not exactly accurate. Why would that be a challenge? So it's probably, the lack of this maybe challenging factors or something new may lead to burnout. That we can infer from this, but desire for something new is, as such, would not necessarily be a challenge. So let's see. I can contribute to in a way. So basically, yeah, it's a desire, seeking novel and engaging opportunities. Exactly. So this is definitely not a challenge. So again, we have to move it to this positive factor. So desire for something new as a positive factor. And this is basically what you will be doing at this stage. So focus coding, just trying to clean up within each group. Make sure that it makes sense. So that's the main thing. Again, if you weren't using ChatGPT, you'll be doing exactly the same thing. You can try and paste it back to ChatGPT, maybe ask it to be more accurate. Every now and then you can do a little bit of work and then again paste it back to ChatGPT. It's all up to you. It's very flexible. At the moment it's not set, nothing is set in stone. ChatGPT is clearly not a data analysis software. So you can, I guess, get quite creative in how you're using that. So eventually, remember, we're thinking about positive and negative factors. What I would normally do now would be to organize these further, make sure that there are no inaccuracies that stand out like the ones that we just saw. So they are definitely not, they just don't fit the category. For now, I would also keep the wording the same. I would keep the wording as it is now. If you ever want to change the wording, this or maybe combine two different codes. So basically, we are, as I said, moving towards this theming as well. So creating themes, because that's basically the final stages when you organize things. Like I said, apart from the other category, our challenges and positive factors will eventually become what we probably want to call factors positively influencing and factors negatively influencing job satisfaction. So the boundary, the line between this stage and the themes in this case is pretty fluid, I would say. So once we have these, so there's mainly about the wording, but one important point is that if we change the wording, so for example here we can see the one I just moved, desire for something new, and maybe seeking challenges. So this is basically about trying to, so the workplace also giving us some challenging experiences, some variation. If we decide that we want to combine this as one, for example, one thing, like I said, variation or new things, what I would do is, before changing the name of it, I would copy and paste both of these codes as a comment or somewhere to indicate what this used to be, because that's important. Because if I just change the name now, remember, I won't be able to find the quote for it. So although here what I will do, so this is desire for something new and routine and seeking challenges. Yeah, so what I'll do is combine and say seeking challenges. But like I said, I want to make sure that I remember the wording. So seeking challenges would be what I eventually keep. And I want to make a comment here saying this is what it used to be. And also desire for something new, because I don't need both. They are about same or similar thing, but I won't be able to find the quotes for desire for something new if it's not there anymore. So that's what I mean. As you're reducing these codes and kind of merging them into more meaningful, more inclusive subcodes or eventually sub-themes, you just want to keep track of what there used to be, because again, if I need to find a quote for seeking challenges, I'll go here, I'll select desire for something new, go back to our codes here, and remember, and just paste it and find the quotes for it. So important to be able to trace the quotes. Another thing that you may do is to, I won't be organizing them fully now, but let's say within the positive factors. So again, this is definitely not, it doesn't fit here at all. It's gonna go to our challenges, if anything, or maybe I'll remove it later, but seeking challenges, embracing authenticity. Let's say there is another code. Never mind. Let's say we want to organize it further. Not sure how it will do with this, but there's not that many codes. But if I see, I like to develop additional subcategories, sub-themes, whatever you call them. So let's say I want ChatGPT to quickly give me an idea of factors that are kind of personal and external. So, you know, we're talking about positive factors that may help them remain in the job. So what if I want to distinguish between factors that are personal, how we act, you know, whether we try something new, etc., and the factors that are kind of external, so more about the workplace itself. And I like doing such grouping. So let's create a quick prompt. I will now paste several codes, units of analysis and thematic analysis, and which represent people's experiences as well as factors and characteristics of workplaces. I would like you to group these codes into those that may represent individual, that's what I say, into personal, those that represent individual qualities, actions, attitudes, etc. May not be the best prompt, but we'll see. And external, those that may represent qualities of the workplace, independent of the employee. Not sure how it will do, but let's say I had this spontaneous idea. Let's say how it does. So that's, you can think of it as thematic analysis, because that's the point where we're kind of organizing it further for our final themes. So let's say positive factors that we want to develop into personal and external. As I said, emotional connection. As I said, it's not doing that well, but maybe the codes just couldn't be put into these groups. I'll have to look and decide, but emotional connection may be something, for example, that is personal. It can also be about the workplace providing that connection. So it depends. It depends what's in the data. But in a nutshell, this is what and how you would be using this platform at the moment. It's kind of back and forth. You can be using it for bounce your ideas of it. See if it's possible to organize into these groups. If I know it's not, then it kind of saves me a little bit of time. I come back here and see what I can do further. If you're confused as to how this is thematic analysis, again, watch my other videos in which I explain what happens in these final stages, because you'll see that that's exactly the same, except that I usually use NVivo, and here I'm kind of switching between Microsoft Word and ChatGPT. I didn't want to make this too long, so hopefully this is relatively clear to you now how you can experiment, how you can use this. As I said before, it's completely new, it's constantly developing. I'm sure there will be plenty of updates. At the same time, it can crash sometimes. Yesterday I tried to record this video a couple of times, but it was overloaded and it let me down a couple of times, so just bear that in mind as well. But I hope you learned something new, and let me know in the comments what you think. I know you've been commenting on these videos, you've been trying things yourself. Let me know, and I'm really curious and excited to see and hear how you're doing, how you've been using this platform. Like the video if you learned something from it, and share it to others so that they know where to find me on YouTube.